All right, so we just got out watching Mufasa,
Yep.
and I want to preface this video by saying there's going to be tons of spoilers. We're not going to try to keep those out. So if you haven't watched the movie, I would wait, go watch it. It's pretty good, and then come back and watch it. So we liked it overall. Give us your 0 to 10 rating?
Well, right when the movie was over, I gave it a 6 because there's a lot of things I did like about it, some things I didn't. I think all around it was a really safe movie, but I think it was still had a lot of heart. It had a lot of details, a lot of good effort put into the backstory of Mufasa and how his journey got himself into the Pride Lands, how he made some friends, made some enemies. So all around, it was a good story. Definitely some things that were would be good to talk about, but all in all, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a solid 6.
All right, yeah, I think I'm in the 6 realm. What did you think of the tie-ins? I personally really liked the tie-in with the parallel between Mufasa losing his dad because of his own inaction, paralleled with Simba losing his dad because of his own inaction, and they kind of created that bond um, without drawing too much attention to it. But it shows that then next time you watch Lion King, you're gonna be like, Mufasa actually knew what this felt like. So what are some other tie-ins that you saw that you really liked?
Yeah, I would definitely say a lot of the what's the monkey's name? I've already
Rafiki.
asked Rafiki. I've already asked you 3 different times before shooting this, but Rafiki, I really enjoy him in the first few movies, the animated movies. He's one of my favorite characters in the original movies, and I like how in those movies it is known that he was really good friends with Mufasa,
Yeah,
and I enjoy how those guys are tied in. And I like how they kind of have similarities of being cast away, being in trouble, but being able to find that, being able to not just look out for yourself, but help each other and find our way. I really enjoyed
yeah,
that tied in. Um, I I do think that's probably the best out of
yeah,
all the people that he met on the way.
sure.
Maybe because there's more detail, and I think he's the best character that had the most detail in backstory from the original movie, which I really liked a lot.
Yeah. So Scar,
Yeah,
Taka, his name's Taka for like most of the movie, and I I think they did a great job of incorporating everything that we see in Lion King. We see that no, Sarabi picked you over me. No, Mufasa always had the it was always stronger, right?
right.
And I love how they were tying all those things in, and Mufasa didn't give him the scar. This other bad guy did. I think that him not giving the scar was kind of good because then that would put more tension between Mufasa and Scar, and they wanted to relieve it because they had to give a good reason for Mufasa to be willing to keep Scar there. So, what were your thoughts on him not giving Scar the
I think
scar?
Mufasa should have gave him the scar.
You think he should have?
No, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But I do like
yeah,
how in the beginning, how they did have a cheerful friendship at the
yeah.
beginning. At least
There was something
that's
there,
cool because I what's been used over and over again is like sibling rivalry since the beginning,
right?
and I do like they did have love for each other at the beginning. So I really like that
Yeah,
original twist into it. Um, I don't really like how they bring him in. I think they could have done a little bit better, but as I've told you, um, trying to set up a character like Scar, whose name is Scar, and
yeah,
he's pure evil in the first movie, that's really hard to do.
yeah,
So I do see that, and I understand it's going to be difficult to portray.
yeah.
But I do think it was maybe a little bit light on his character and not very like deep. How he
On
kind of
on Scar's character.
yeah, on Scar's character and how he shifts from kind of maybe a cowardly and really leaning toward Mufasa for help to kind of breaking down suddenly and
Yeah,
because he's jealous of everyone and he's realized he's not the chosen. Especially also since he kind of in the middle of the movie was talking to his father and Scar was like realize I'm no Mufasa's way better than me.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not really keen. Even he knew that
yeah.
he wasn't really destined
He
for
was
that.
kind of a
He was
coward.
yeah, he was kind of accepting to that, and like in the middle of the movie, you just realize I don't want that. I don't want to betray this guy.
Yeah,
So a little bit of a mess, but overall, I do like how he did redeem himself.
yeah,
Kind of like how portrayed that, even though they don't like characters don't like some of the characters, but they do have respect for them at the very least. That's why he
Yeah,
saved him at the end. So I do like that
yeah,
at the very end.
and just kind of building off that, I even though we don't like it, I think that most of the pieces were pretty much necessary for for making Mufasa be like, you can stay, but I still think you're a terrible person, but you can stay. So they kept a decent balance of making that believable.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which kind of brings me to one thing that I was the most scared about going in this movie. I did not think there was going to be woke stuff in it. I never thought that. But the thing I thought they were going to bring into it was sympathetic bad guys.
Mm,
And just from watching the trailer, it's like, ooh, Taka was the rightful, Scar was the rightful, king, and then he got it stole. So I was really scared about that. But I think they did a great job making it not like that because his father was just this total lazy guy, terrible father. Scar's father was a terrible father. So he's grown up being a coward. So the whole movie, you're never really rooting for Scar. You
right.
never think he's a great guy. He keeps, like, he didn't save his mom. He left, and then Mufasa saved him. So I was super. I mean, if we have like a subcategory of like sympathetic bad guy scale, they did like a 10 out of 10 of not doing it. I
Yeah.
think I think they because there's a fine line, right, of making it sympathetic bad guy and making a good guy turn into a bad guy, and I think they tread that line very
Yeah.
well.
And I would also say that even though it's super hard to go back in time to try to replicate the origin of a character like Scar, it does tie in really well from the start of the original movie, how he's still really jealous of him. And I do like how it's more original than rather him just being like the younger brother that never got a shot at being king. That's how it's kind of built up in the first movie.
Oh, okay.
But at this, it's kind of it's way different
Yeah,
because Mufasa,
they did
he was
change
an
that.
outcast, but obviously he was chosen for a bigger purpose than that. Despite him being an outcast, maybe not being as appreciated as his brother,
Yeah,
he was still able to prove himself by being a great hunter, being a good leader, being able to focus on what mattered most. So I like how he proved himself by showing what he was really worth, rather than him just being the oldest, getting the most attention, the most treatment,
yeah,
because that's usually how it's goes in those kind of movies. So I
right.
like how they
They kind of
they
went
build up
off,
more on that. So I really enjoy
made it
that
more
as well.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so like now I'm kind of thinking about the new elements they brought in, like Melele, or there's something like that, and there was the whole thing that Mufasa has these like great abilities to hear people who are far away. I want to hear your thoughts on how well you think they incorporated those new themes that they were kind of weaving through because they're really important at the end. Because Mufasa,
Right.
that's how he defeats the bad guy.
I,
Close your eyes. What
yeah.
do you feel?
I do think they're reaching a little bit. But I will say there once again there's also some connections in within the first one, how they really deep down from the circle of life, and whatever spirit or whatever follow is in charge of that land, they know that they're there watching them and leading them, and they kind of leave it kind of basic in the first movie,
Yeah,
but now they kind of give it more in depth, realizing it's giving them more than just giving them purpose in life. It's helping them get away from bad guys. It's helping them lead to the promised land of some sort.
yeah,
So I wouldn't say it's like anything like bad or anything. It seems kind of a little bit off because I do think a lot of the what you want to focus on in those movies is the characters rather than kind of building off more than what was just kind of basic from what the movie is. I mean, it's already kind of weird. I mean, like Great Spirits of
yeah,
like yeah,
yeah,
just kind of like an Indian movie praying
yeah.
to the Great Spirits guy thing.
Although
But
I think they toned down Rafiki a little more than they did in like the original
that
cartoon.
is true.
The cartoon is like
That is true. Yeah,
mysticism.
he's
It's
like a
like,
witch doctor in
yeah,
that movie.
it's
Yeah,
bad.
I did forget about that. But so that is good that they toned that a little
I
bit.
appreciate
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so throughout the course of the movie, it kind of starts with Pumbaa and Timon, and then Simba's boy, Kiara, I think, and
Kiara. Yeah.
Rafiki's telling him the story. I feel like it throughout the movie, it periodically would cut back to them, and every time Pumbaa and Timon would make some funny joke, and then it would go back.
No fart jokes at
Well,
least.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I thought that was just most of the time it was unneeded and it was kind of unnecessary they were just trying to get some comic relief in there.
Yeah.
And there was this one time where it went back to them, and then it went back to Mufasa for like 30 seconds, and then it went back to them again. It was like it was too often for me.
Yeah, I do think if you do wanna do that, there needs to be something, a little bit more worthwhile. I mean, I do like how Kira, he listens to the story about her grandson and how he became a mighty lion that led eventually her father to become the great king that he once was, that he is. But yeah, like I said, bringing in Puma, I think that was just more of either a way to get the kids' attention in that movie,
Yeah, that's true.
or just bringing like I don't know who voices Timon, but
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Seth Rogen, is that his name?
Well, he
Who
does
plays
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa? Yeah, I mean, you gotta bring them back, I guess,
Yeah,
for
you
voicing,
kind of do.
put them on the cast, so I don't know what's kinda going on there, not the most annoying thing in the world, but I
Yeah,
mean, just pretty unnecessary, I
yeah,
would say.
I agree. Um, the very first scene is Nala in the woods, and she's like, "Simba, I'm here. Like, come and get me." Were you confused at that part? I was so lost.
Uh,
And then they bring it back where she's like, she was having a kid.
oh, that's right.
That
That
was
was I do remember
so
that.
confusing to me.
I thought
I,
they were trying
they did a
to
great job at the
Yeah,
end,
I
but
I thought
I'm
they were
just
trying to, like, kinda make it where Simba was trying to do something like protect, animals from, like, the storm, kind
oh
of like him doing something while he tells a story of his, father doing something great as well.
oh
I thought maybe, like, something, like,
oh.
going back and forth. That
I
would've been
I
cool.
didn't think they were gonna resolve it. I thought it was just like they were playing a game of
Yeah,
hide and seek or something,
yeah,
and then they were just gonna leave it. But then they kind of wrapped up at the end,
yeah,
so
thought there
that
was
was
gonna be
good.
some build-up maybe throughout the movie, but they didn't put it at the end, which
Yeah,
is yeah, I guess that's self-explanatory, yeah.
yeah. So the worldview of this film, I haven't been able to kind of pinpoint it super well because we just watched it, but um, we've got these two sides of people are inherently good, people are inherently evil, right? I saw some shots, and there was one line that kind of caught my attention. I can't remember what the wording was, but it was Mufasa's mom talking to him at the end.
Mhm.
He finds his mom, and
"Your
she.
father's in you?"
Well, no, it wasn't that part. It was just saying like you've always been this great king, and
Mm.
I was just the way it was worded, the way she was saying it, I was getting these feelings of like you're a great person, like you've always been a great person. What did you think about those themes running through the movie? Did you notice anything, or
Not as much as, like, where it's like, they're throwing in your face, but I would say, like, that is kind of the cost of, like, of running, like, a secular, a kids movie that's not, like, promoting Christianity,
right?
but, I mean, nothing was wrong about it. It's not like they were trying to, like, push something too bad,
Yeah,
but I would say, like, a big difference between what, like, a Christian, like, driven movie for having, like, Christian values would be, like, focusing on your faith and what God has in store for you rather than what you have in store for yourself. I mean, there is a little bit about his father pushing him being that,
yeah,
which but it's still kind of the spirit work of kind of pushing him, kind of like a Hindu or a Buddha, just kind of how the great spirits follow you, and
yeah,
once you meditate yourself, you'll be able to drive that. I mean, there's a lot of that in like fantasy or medieval movies, which isn't annoying, and that's what they believed at the time. But I mean, that's kind of the beauty about being a Christian watching movies, even though if they're not 100% promoting Christianity, you can still see a lot of the values and how you can take that looking through the eyes of your eyes of your faith and see what you can see. Which definitely a lot of the values is Mufasa seeing himself, even though a lot of things are going wrong,
yeah,
he can still lead himself and help his friends
yeah,
because. You're always going to find yourself down. You're always going to be in doubt of yourself, but God has different plans for you. And if you focus on God helping Him guide you, you won't be focused on yourself.
yeah. There was one thing that I kind of skipped over that I want to go back to. How organic did you think that the parents dying was? I thought that was fabricated, and
It seemed kind of forced.
yeah, and I also thought that the grieving time for Mufasa wasn't there. The scene in Lion King is super powerful, and they let it sit and they let it drop on your heart when Mufasa dies, and you
You see
know
his body.
you
You
see, yes,
that never happened before in a
that
Disney movie.
yeah,
That's
oh yeah,
heartbreaking.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
then Simba cuddles up in his dead body,
Oh
and he's
man,
like, I mean, it makes you want to
give me
cry.
give me a chill for a
Yes,
second.
and
Yeah.
and then and then after this slow scene where everyone's crying, Scar walks out of the shadows. This was kind of just like elephant breaks open the thing, water goes flying, Simba flies through the air, and then he starts walking away and he's sad, but it just didn't dwell on it.
Yeah, I do think they not only about the force about their parents like supposedly being dead, but it feels like that it was just kind of like a big gap of a scene that maybe was just maybe they should have made him a shot where he was like mourning on the stick he was on when he was going down the
Yeah,
river. It seemed like there was maybe like a 30-second shot that they just either ignored or they just got rid of immediately because they could have done something more
yeah,
there as well.
yeah. Okay, so throughout this movie, they incorporated the theme of Scar putting his hands on Mufasa.
Hmm.
Both they did it twice. They did it at the beginning when Taka finds Mufasa, and he's like, "I'll help you," and then he tries to help him up, and then they do it at the end where it's like, "Am I gonna help you?" and then he helps him up. They seemed really weird to me because it doesn't seem like that's how a lion would help someone up. It seems like they were kind of like, we need him to help him up, so let's do the exact same motion he did. You know what I
Well,
mean?
the first time he did it, it was a great callback or a
Yeah,
foreshadow to what's going to happen,
right.
where he puts his hands on his brother and kills him like in the
Yeah,
first one. But I agree with you. The second time, if you look at Scar's situation, he doesn't care much about him at this point.
yeah.
He maybe kind of feels a little bit of remorse about it, but at this point, he's betrayed
Should
him.
have
He's on
just
the other
let him
guy's team.
go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
So that one part about the ending, I really like the ending and how everyone came together and fight the outsiders. But that one scene kind of bothered me a lot.
yeah,
How at that point of his character, he would have probably just let him go,
yeah,
not save him, and then realizing that he would either be killed or be banished,
yeah,
and the end game was not going to be good for him if he
yeah.
saved him. So not really sure what was going on there.
Yeah, and after all those events, I wasn't sure when Scar said, "Call me Scar, Your Majesty," and he's like super sad. All those events taking place, I wasn't sure if he was genuine or not. Like they didn't really make that clear for me. So it sounded like the way it was portrayed, it could have been like he was mocking him, but I wasn't sure. I felt like they could have made that more clear of what they were trying to make Scar leave as. And then they do have the last shot where Scar sees him walk up on the Pride Rock and then he like snarls.
Yeah, that's
But
another
I
thing.
think they could have made that more
In order
clear.
for it to be a prequel, it has to set up where both of the
Yeah,
brothers are there,
are the same in the same
which
place.
once again that's going to be hard to do if they're already living somewhere far away from the Pride Lands, which
Yeah,
I guess I'd give a pass for that, but it did seem kind of weak for
yeah,
the writing at least. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's going to be some kind of holes when you're trying to make a solid prequel.
yeah. Okay, you and me both laughed when the Pride Rock fell over.
Oh man, that
He
was
says Rafiki says the earth will shake, and I guess there's some kind of earthquake or like all the animals are running or something, and this mountain falls over, and then this big rock goes like, and it's Pride Rock, and was not organic for me at all. I feel like it would have been way better to right when they get there, the shot like goes up and we see this big rock and just it's there like
yeah.
a super old timeless rock.
If
I
you
was
had
like, ooh, that was rough.
if you had to pick one thing that was like very unfluid at all or
Yeah,
out of the box, it'd be that.
yeah. Well, okay. Do you recommend this movie for someone to go to the theaters and watch it?
If you're a die-hard Lion King fan,
Yes.
my point, no, because I love I
Oh,
love the original one so much. But
so you
if
say
you
no? Okay.
well, I'm the animate 2D animated
Yeah, I
snob,
know that.
so
I know
probably not. But anyone who likes all the Lion King movies and the sequels and the live action ones as well, I definitely would recommend because it was a solid movie for what it was. Like I said, there was a little bit of holes, a little bit of something they could have improved on, but it was a great story altogether. So if you want to see something right now, especially since there's not much right now in theaters right now, I would definitely would recommend it to people that wanted to watch it at least once.
Well, I'm gonna actually caveat from you. I think if you're a diehard Lion King fan, go watch it.
Mm,
So we have our differences, but go watch it. If you're not, you might wish you hadn't spent $15. That's my take.
that's true. And there's gonna be people that are gonna give it lower than a 6, and they're gonna regret
There are,
paying that
yeah,
15
yeah,
bucks,
right.
yeah,
I think we are looking on the bright side on a couple
right.
things. But anyway, well, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.